Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on Dating Today, a conversation about modern dating issues. My name is Brock Olson. I'm your host. I'm a professional dating coach. I've been doing this for 10 years. And today I'm joined by my good friend and special guest, Erica Wilson. Erica is a certified therapist, and she owns Olive Branch Therapy in Birmingham, Alabama, where she works with people going through trauma, family counseling, marriage counseling as well, and many other mental health related types of therapies. And today she's joining me because we're going to be talking about some of the stigmas around dating, some of the higher psychology that's surrounding dating. And I thought Erica would be great to have on. So join in.
Add it up.
All right, Erica, thank you so much for joining me today. We're here in Nashville because I wanted to kind of take in the city, but also there's a lot of dating that's going on in Nashville. I hear all about it from my friends and my clients. They're struggling with understanding how best to conduct themselves in the current dating market. Some trends seem to be, popping up right now, and people have a lot of questions. So what we're going to do today is kind of touch on some of the topics and some of the growing trends. And I have my friend Erica. She's here to kind of talk about in a more elevated and more educated way, because I am not a therapist. I am just a coach. Erica brings all of the academia with her, all of that clinical experience. And so she's going to be weighing in and giving us some of the statistics, but also just what she's seeing in her practice every single day, working with men, women, and even children. And Erica, that's actually what I want to do today, is kind of talk about the trends that you're seeing in some of your practice. I know that you work with children, you work with men, women, you work with couples, you work with married couples, you work with people. I don't know if you work with anybody that's dating. Do you work with anyone just dating?
Oh, I do. Yes.
What does that kind of look like?
A wide range. So like you said, I do see my clientele is probably from the ages of 5 to about 75. So anywhere between the ages of maybe 18 to now really 75 could be dating.
Sure.
But what I'm seeing a lot of now are people in the dating world and dating apps and trying to figure out what that looks like for them and helping them navigate their own self-worth within that journey.
That's got to be really difficult. I'm sure you've noticed, like, just in the last 5 to 7 years, specifically with how much we're using dating apps, that people's self-worth and confidence is really taking a battering. So how is that kind of showing up in some of the therapy sessions that you're having with people?
It's funny because it's different for men and women.
Let's dive in.
So my women that are in the dating world are finding it easy to find a date. So it's easy for them to find a date. They're either being set up with someone or they're on a dating app and they're getting matched with someone.
Okay.
And they go on a date. That seems to be fine. They may feel the connection and their date may not. So they're coming in and then they're feeling that low self-worth, as in, what did I do wrong?
Sure.
Am I not pretty enough? Am I not good enough? And this may be the first date. So they're already feeling those.
Sure.
Now, my men that are dating and they have found someone that they're interested in, they're either really into it or they're really into just the dating scene. So
like
I see both.
So the guys just into the dating scene, they're just kind of going through the motions. Maybe just they don't want to spend a Friday night in, so they're, hey, let me take this girl out. I'm not really interested, but hey, it's better than being home alone and whatever. Right.
Yeah. So the men are in it. Most of them that I've seen in my practice are dating, finding a date, and it's not as easy, but they do find a date and they see it's fun, and this is fun. I had fun with her. We went out on this date. Everything was great. But also there's another girl I could take out on Thursday night and I can see how that goes too.
Okay.
When their ego gets busted, it's a little different.
What's that look like?
That is, the girl doesn't call back.
Right.
Or the girl says, hey, I had fun. Thank you for dinner. I don't really see this going anywhere.
I'm not feeling the attraction,
the connection.
connection.
Or any kind of like chemistry. We're not talking like physical chemistry, but as far as like communication, like that vibe. Whereas my women, they're getting the dates rolling in, but then when they go out, there is a connection but then maybe guy isn't feeling the same thing, or maybe they're just in this hookup culture that we're stuck in right now, I think.
Well, how's that affecting the women in particular when they're kind of going on these dates? And I assume most women, they're going on dates really hoping for that connection. I know there's some women who are doing what guys also do.
Absolutely.
We're not saying that either of these behaviors are strictly owned by any gender, but for the most part, I think people are wanting to find that connection. Maybe they just don't really know how to go about it. But the women who are going out with hope that, hey, maybe this will be the guy, and it's not, how is that showing up with their, like in your therapy sessions with that self-confidence? Like, how do you reaffirm these people? Like, let them know that, hey, a guy not calling you back doesn't justify your personal value or your value to society or just intrinsically. How do you walk people through that?
Pretty much that. I let them know that they have to love themselves first.
Sure.
And know what that looks like.
Okay.
Really dive into their past, and this is male and female alike.
Right.
So what their past tells me is why they're dating the way they're dating, if they are going into intentionally dating, or if it's just to fill time.
Sure.
And so I'm looking for, why are they feeling all these emotions? Why are they feeling like they're not good enough? Why are they feeling like they have to date multiple people in order to be loved? All of those things is what I'm working on within that individual.
Sure.
Because I don't know their date, and I don't know what their intentions are, their date's intentions, but I know what my clients' feelings are and their emotions. So I dive deeper into their emotional baggage, if you will, and what that looks like.
So you're going to uncover like what their childhood was like, how they received love as a child from their parents, friends through their school, like what were their first little dating experiences like, their little first crushes and things like that. Are there any patterns that you kind of see more and more occurring with the use of like that self-confidence and the use of like social media? I consider as a dating app. It absolutely is. I think more people get dates through social media than actual dating apps. But are you seeing more patterns linked to like their childhood, and you're like, oh yeah, of course you're not feeling love because you didn't experience this thing? Is there a correlation to a childhood experience?
100%.
Okay.
So 100%. Most of the time, it's a core belief in how they were taught to love, or how they were taught not to love. So, for example, most of my patients who are children of divorce, maybe they saw a healthy relationship and their parents divorced, because you can divorce in a healthy way.
Amicably.
Yeah. Or you can divorce in a very nasty way that involves children.
Yeah.
And those now young adults don't really know what a solid foundation of a marriage is, or even a relationship.
Or even the belief in
of true love or relationships. So that is my biggest pattern that I'm seeing, that they're a child of divorce. Or maybe their parents never divorced, but their parents were more of the authoritarian type of parenting. That they didn't get the love and nurturing as a child, and now they don't know how to love and nurture, or they don't know how to be loved and nurtured.
So they don't know how to give or receive it. They also don't know how to give it to themselves.
Absolutely.
Okay, so then what type of how would that show up in somebody like trying to actually form a relationship with somebody? Is this like where we start seeing like the avoidant attachments and things like this?
So you've got
or anxious attachments even.
Avoidant, anxious, dismissive, all the attachments that we can see in a relationship. It can be a friendship too. Friendship, relationships, anything. That person turns into, it took them 30 minutes and 1 second to text me back. Yesterday it only took 6 seconds and they responded back immediately. So that's an anxious attachment of, why haven't they responded? So that's speaking to how they're feeling about themselves more than what the other person is actually doing. And that's just text messaging.
Sure.
If you've got someone who's reading through a text message and they swipe to see, wait, I sent that 2 hours ago.
Okay.
And they just now responded, rather than logically thinking, what if they were asleep? What if they were taking a shower? What if they were working? What if they're not thinking that way? They're immediately going to the thought of, why did they not respond? Yeah. And it is a rejection, and it is a deep embedded rejection that started a long time ago, whether it was childhood or even a broken relationship in the past. And they really don't know. I don't think they know what to do with that unless if they're in therapy and healing and working on that and being told, it sounds like you have an anxious attachment style.
Sure.
So we need to work on that. So you no longer worry about how long it was when they texted you back, or you no longer worry about if they texted or not.
Sure.
Because I think you've told me before, maybe they're just a bad texter, which is something I've never thought of. From a therapeutic standpoint, being a bad texter doesn't mean they're not wanting to text, but maybe they're not the same kind of texter you are.
Sure.
And helping them learn that too.
Yeah, because communication styles is one of the biggest parts of compatibility. And if you two are not on the same page about how you like to receive that communication, I mean, it can trigger the anxious, the avoidance, all of that type of stuff. And so that's what I see is it. I just see the effects of it.
Yeah.
I never get to see really what creates that inside people. I just say, I can, with their behavior, hey, you're likely somebody who's a bit more avoidant. You need to maybe seek therapy. So people who maybe haven't sought out therapy, what is a piece of advice you'd give to the people who maybe could recognize, I'm a bit of avoidant, I don't want to be, what's just a piece of advice you could give to those people?
If they don't know their attachment style?
If they know that they're avoidant, they're like, yes, I am, I'm not in therapy, but like, say they're watching this podcast in the car right now, what's a piece of advice you can give them that they can just kind of reflect on to help them onto that path? And because we don't want them to be avoidant anymore. What's a piece of advice we can give them?
Using your words, and if you know you're an avoidant, or if you know you're an anxious attachment style person, or if you know you're a bad texter, and you've got this person, male or female, and you like them, to just early, maybe not first, second date, not third date, but at some point in that relationship, and you've decided to become exclusive, whatever that may mean to them.
Sure.
Saying, hey, up front, if I seem distant, if I seem off today, if I seem quieter today, I just need space. It's not you. It's nothing you've done. It's me processing, or me thinking about my day, or me thinking about a former relationship that I was in the past where someone was, spam texting me all the time and questioning me about what I'm doing all the time.
I see.
So if they're up front and they recognize that, and then they tell their partner that, or their soon-to-be partner, there then can be an understanding between both people.
I think that's incredibly healthy. So that comes down to communicating expectations.
Right.
Okay. So to sum that up, embrace it and own it.
Yes.
And then communicate that this is where you are now. I have not done the research into this, and I'm sure you're going to be able to tell me, can people stop being avoidant? How do they overcome that?
Yes. They can stop. They can stop. But if it is, it's a hard question to answer, because if it's part of their personality style, or part of their person, like who they are.
Sure.
That would be like to ask someone to stop being, like, if someone truly had a chemical imbalance of an anxiety disorder,
right,
that would be like asking someone, hey, stop being anxious.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But I
didn't even realize it was like that. I thought that this was something that could actually be changed without medication, almost choices, and doing exercises.
It absolutely can.
Okay.
But you have to ask, and they have to work on it. So you can't go into a therapy session being an avoidant and thinking you can leave and no longer be an avoidant. Yeah. So there's no easy fix in any of it. You have to do the work. So you have to recognize, this is my problem. It's okay that I have this problem.
Sure.
I'm not what is normal? There's no normal in anything, but you can go in and you can work on your communication styles.
Sure.
You can work on your attachment styles. You shouldn't be with someone who wants to change your personality, right?
Right.
But you also don't want to be with someone who you know is going to avoid you at all costs.
Of course.
So yeah, it can be changed.
Obviously, they have to want
They
it.
have to work.
They have to work.
Yeah, they have to do
but
that.
they can do that. They can change.
Yeah. It's
without
gonna be
medication.
harder. Yeah. It's going to be harder for them.
Even the anxious attachment, they can do it without medication.
Absolutely. So anxious attachment, yes, but that's going to be someone who already has more than likely an anxiety disorder. So you're working with someone who's already an anxious person, and then you're wanting them to be this non-anxious attached person.
Okay.
But all of that is within them and not you as the partner, whether it's male or female. You have to understand exactly kind of where their brain is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think as partners, if you talk about it and you realize, okay, she or he, they're already anxious.
Sure.
And I'm out of town this week.
Mm-hmm.
Let them know that, hey, I'm going to be at this meeting. If I don't have my phone for 2 hours, it's because it's probably in my purse or it's in my pocket. The meeting doesn't. So going ahead and being upfront
with the person who has the anxious attachment.
Yes.
Well, how does the anxious attachment person communicate that? Because I think that's something that honestly a lot of people fear is like, hey, I don't feel good when you're not texting me. Now you're coming off as needy, which is actually what anxious attachment is.
Right.
But how can that person communicate, hey, I don't feel good when we go like 2 hours without texting, and maybe giving them like more power within themselves? Because somebody who has that anxious attachment, they feel powerless at times. They feel like that there's nothing they can do. So what could they possibly do?
Because, well, you don't want to be a codependent person.
Correct.
At all.
Correct.
And
you don't want to help a codependent dynamic like be nurtured. So So I
kind of enabling.
Exactly. I don't want to enable somebody who has an anxious attachment. So yeah, how are we navigating that in a healthy way? Say that there are two people sitting in your office and they're working that, like, what are you going to do?
So if an anxious person or an anxious attachment style person can go up to their partner and say, listen, I know you're being honest with me.
Mm-hmm.
I know when you tell me you're going to text me back, you're going to text me back.
Yeah.
But I need you to hear me say that I'm nervous because in my past, I've had someone lie to me or I've had it be used against me. And it makes me more nervous to tell you this, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you that if I haven't heard from you, please just know it's only because I don't know what to do with that myself.
Sure.
So they're acknowledging this is me.
Sure.
Saying I don't know how to navigate the fact that you haven't responded or we haven't communicated the way I envision it to be. But I want you to know that I know that up front. I know that's me.
Okay.
And I'm working on it. And the more that both of them work together on each other's attachment style, they are able to understand each other's like psyche. So they're able to understand, okay, he's nervous that I haven't texted back. Like I want to tell like a dude, like, or a woman, like, just pick up the phone and be like, I'm in a meeting. I'll text you when I get done.
Sure.
30 seconds.
Real quick.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a paragraph. And I would tell that to my anxious people. If it's hey, I'm in a meeting, I'll text you when I'm done. That doesn't mean they're mad at you.
Right.
That's not a short-ended text. That's not a mean text. That's them saying what they're doing.
Sure.
And so when I'm working with them, I have to help them accept that that's okay. And this was an okay response.
So send that text, but with the smiley emoji.
So yeah. But and that's adding because that anxious person sees that part and they're like, okay,
we're good.
We're okay. We're
good.
Fine. But it really is. And I think for both parties, whether anxious, mostly I see anxious or avoidant attachment.
Okay.
And those are in relationships mostly.
You said dismissive. What does that actually look like? Because I'm not clinically backgrounded like you are and by any means. What does that look like for the people who are watching right now?
Dismissive is someone who almost is just afraid of just rejection in general. And
So they'll reject themselves?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
sabotagers?
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah. So they're going to be dismissive towards themselves.
Okay.
They're going to be dismissive towards someone saying, hey, I'm a little anxious and nervous that you're going out of town. Is that okay? And they're going to just be like, why? You know, without
why wouldn't it be okay?
Yeah, why wouldn't that be okay?
Lacking empathy.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah, they're just dismissing the problem and they're not trying to look for a solution.
Okay. I see. So you said like maybe you don't talk about these things like on the first or second date, you know, because that is my realm. I'd actually recommend people do.
You really?
And the way I would do it is I would have questions for like if I was going on a first date and I wanted to know what their attachment style, I would ask them about their past relationships and how they felt like the previous partner showed up for them. How did that make them feel? Asking those types of questions.
Yeah.
So I was on your podcast like a month, not even a month, a week ago. And one of the things that we were talking about was how to assess emotional availability. And that's why I think that having some questions for the first date to see if somebody is an anxious attachment, dismissive, as you said, or an avoidant will set you up for a lot more success. Because I don't like going into a third, fourth date and finding out, okay, this is not going to work because you do not have the emotional range to meet me where I am or make me feel secure. So I think we went over, one of the questions was, how have in the past have you been made to feel seen?
Yeah.
And things like that. Those questions to assess if they are actually just there wasting time or if they're actually ready for a relationship. So having some of those questions asked on the first date instead of the third, I think is going to save people a ton of time. But not just that, but like you get to that third date and you've probably already seen a little bit of a pattern. You probably, especially if you're anxious, you're probably already feeling the anxiousness because you haven't communicated how much to text between the dates. You haven't communicated how long between dates you'd like to schedule the next one. So having those types of conversations about previous relationships, I know it sounds really heavy, maybe even awkward, but I'm not saying, hey, tell me how you and your ex used to just like love on each other. That's not what I mean, obviously. And I definitely don't want to say like, why did you two end? But what did you learn most about your past relationship? Did they make you feel safe and secure? Like those types of questions, you should not be avoiding. You should not be shying away from those. And I think it's going to help set your next couple of dates up on a much more solid foundation.
I agree. And so, but here's what my patients want to do going into a first date. Well, that I remind them not to.
Okay.
So I don't want patients going into a date saying, hey, just to let you know, I have an anxiety disorder.
Right.
And
right.
I mean, there is nothing wrong with having an anxiety disorder, but it's not anxiety disorder, depressive disorder, a mood disorder. That doesn't define who you are as an individual.
Correct.
It's something you have. It's a chemical imbalance, and that is fine.
Yes.
But it isn't something you go into a first date letting someone know, because think about it.
Sure.
There are people out there that would use that against you.
1,000%. And we talked about this on your podcast, and I said this real quickly, which was one of the worst questions to ask is, what are you looking for?
Right.
I think that sets you up to kind of be used or abused in some ways, but there's a way of constructing a question around the fact that you have an anxiety disorder by saying what makes you feel safe.
Yes. That's
how I would approach that. I wouldn't say, hey, I have an anxiety disorder and I get wrecked whenever like I'm not receiving text messages. That's not an attractive way. That's also lacking like personal power.
So when someone comes up, say if I were on that date and someone comes up to me and says, what makes you feel safe?
Okay.
And I go into it and I say, someone who's going to protect me, communicate well, be consistent.
Sure.
I don't know. Like, is that a red flag? What? Is that not what that?
Which part would be a red flag? Your answer?
It's my answer.
I think
as an anxious person.
No, I think your answer is too general.
Oh.
Everybody wants consistency and follow through and good communication. Like, what's the opposite? Like, I don't want good communication. Of course we want that. Yeah. What does that look like? What does the communication look like that makes you feel good?
But you're helping those people know how to ask that question.
Yes.
Because there's no way that they would know other
Of course
than that.
not. Yeah.
There isn't, because a
Yeah.
first date is just, thanks for the date. We're eating dinner or we're having drinks. And sometimes communication is, what do you do for a living? How many kids do you have?
Boring.
Have you ever been married? Like, there's no way.
That's a good question.
That is a good
That's a good question because it really has a lot to do with your compatibility going forward. And,
That's true.
And the whole purpose of a first date isn't connection. And so many people get that wrong. It is not about connection.
What is it?
It's about compatibility. Why would you want to go on a second date with somebody who you shared this amazing evening with, but in 3 weeks they're moving to Morocco? Like, we need to make sure that we are compatible. So you need to be asking questions that are going to be potential road bumps or road blocks in the future. So one of the first questions that I suggest asking is, what was your childhood like? And a lot of people are like, wow, that's super deep. But at the same time, like, you allow them to answer as deeply as they want. So with that, they can tell you how many siblings they have. Well, me and my 2 brothers and 1 sister. Okay, so I know you got siblings. My parents, we used to go to Florida every summer, and then once in a while we'd go to Europe. I'm like, okay, so you've done a little bit of traveling growing up, and then I was bullied in high school. Okay, thank you for telling me that. I played sports. I did this. Thank you. I have now a bigger understanding of who you are with that one question, instead of asking all the little questions. What do you like to do for fun? Well, had you asked the question about what was their childhood like, that they played soccer growing all the way up and went into college and played.
Right.
You would know that they rode horses, that they were a little tech nerd and played with remote control airplanes. All these things. If they were a girly girl and they all like to doll up, or if they were a tomboy, all these things. Now you see them more deeply.
Okay.
And
So
you also know about their socioeconomic background.
right.
If they came from money or if they didn't.
And this is a first date question.
First date question, yes.
I'm a transparent therapist. So what that means is I sit across that desk for my patients, and I'm not a fake, I'm a real person too.
Sure.
Obviously, I'm not going to go into like my whole life story, but if it's something that can benefit them, I'm going to tell them. So
Like sharing
a little
the story of empathy.
Yeah. And like
allows you to
disclose what I choose to disclose.
Sure.
As far as, yes, I am a person, I'm a child of divorce. I am a person who probably has had anxiety disorder since I was like 8. And that came with like childhood trauma stuff.
Sure.
And then I carried it with me into childhood. I carried it with me into young adulthood, into my 20s and into adulthood, until I really got to a place of like dropping the pride of everything's okay. I do need help.
Sure.
And that's okay to need help. But someone asks me across the table on a date, first date, what was your childhood like? And I say, because I'm a transparent, I'm very like authentic and just genuine. And I'm like, so I have my parents divorced when I was 8. I was this little anxious kid who tried to help everyone. And I cared deeply for those that I loved. And it led me to do that as a young adult. And then it led me to be a therapist. So that's like little Erica into adult Erica.
Sure.
Someone hears that.
And that was also very surface level. I can now go a little bit deeper. I can easily ask you questions like, how did that show up? Like, did you have siblings, and are they like you?
Yeah.
Are they wildly opposite?
Right. And then I say, well, I have an identical twin sister.
Now I have more info.
And then everybody's like, whoa, what's that like? But so that does make more conversation.
It dives really deeply, and I could go to the next one. I could say, well, what was Christmas like? Did you two like fight over the same gifts? Were you like total opposites? And now you're going to tell me what Christmas was like, where you spent it.
Right.
Oh, I'm going to learn so much from that one question.
But I just don't understand, as a therapist, and you as you're a relationship expert and a dating expert, because you've dealt and worked with so many people that don't know how to have these kind of conversations.
Right.
I work with people who definitely don't know how to have the conversation, but also do have some sort of trauma, whether it's from a past relationship or childhood trauma. Sure. They would never know how to have that kind of conversation or ask those kind of questions because of the fear of either one, of rejection, or the fear of not knowing what to say at all if they answered a question in a certain way. Yeah. So I don't understand why. I'm sitting here thinking, why don't people use people like you all the time and have guidance, because they come to mental health for guidance and support when their mental health is off, or they feel anxious, or they feel panicked, or they feel depressed, or maybe they're going through some sort of crisis. And it's not something that they need always.
Yeah.
But maybe they come back and they get a little maintenance, and then maybe they're with me for years, or maybe, they find their self and they find what's happened and they've healed on that. But then why do you think people don't know as much about like a relationship coach or a dating coach and how to navigate that?
Well, the dating scene, the dating world is somewhat new in the way that it operates today. It's probably only 15-ish years old.
Yeah. Okay.
You go these past 15 years, and then you go the last 50 before that. The last 50 before that almost look identical.
Oh, of dating?
Of dating. It looks very, very similar. People are introducing through friends, through communities, church, work, whatever it is. Yeah. There's not social media where people are spoiled for choice, if you will. Well, the illusion of choice, should I say. And people's reputation was on the line when people dated, say, back anywhere before the 90s.
Yeah.
People really had like social repercussions for misbehaving through dates, or maybe even through marriage, like a marriage divorces. Like, that was not okay. Now it's much more acceptable. But the question you asked is, why aren't people coming more to dating coaches? Is that people think that they can just go into this dating world, and that they should have the ease of access and ease of experience that they've had maybe when they were children, or what they've seen in books, or what their parents have told them. It is so completely different, and they think that the world of dating should just come naturally.
Yeah.
It should just be like walking, and it is not. It is not.
Yeah.
There are so many little nuances to conducting yourself with integrity and follow through, and it's a very real thing. It is incredibly competitive today. It is so incredibly competitive, and if you want to have a chance of securing somebody who you perceive as like the highest value partner that you can possibly gain access to, you're going to have to show up a very specific way. You're going to have to conduct yourself in a very specific way. And you need to know if you're emotionally ready for that, if you're financially ready for that, if you are, if you've handled any past traumas from past relationships. Like, this isn't something to just be done on autopilot just because you're bored.
Well, I was going to say if they're mentally ready for that too, because if you've been in a bad relationship and you haven't healed from that relationship, the rebound effect of thinking you can just jump in and date, you're not ready. You're not ready. I don't think they're ready for that.
No.
And then they come to me in a sad, I've been rejected, I've been abandoned, like their abandonment issues come out, the rejection issues come out, and the self-esteem and the confidence, all of it comes out. And then to find out, I have to ask them, did you tell them some of the traumas that you've endured? And they're like, no, never.
No, I don't even know how to have that conversation.
And then when it comes, or when something happens and then they respond with a trauma response, then the other person gets scared and leaves.
Yeah.
And so it's not a true rejection. It's just, I didn't know.
Sure.
But after talking to you and like thinking about mental health and then thinking about the dating world, I've truly never experienced hearing some of the things you've said that make so much sense to me, not only as a person, but from a mental health aspect as well, because they tie so closely together.
Oh, it is so, it's so intertwined.
Yeah.
And I have to do a very good job at making sure people know the limits of my expertise, which becomes your expertise. And so when it gets to repeated patterns of undesired outcomes, I can work with them and say, well, this is likely what's going on, and I have reached the limit of my ability to help you. If you want to see a different outcome for you, you're going to have to get this thing worked on, and you're going to have to go to therapy for that.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent for that.
Okay, because so for example, when I'm seeing patients, if I'm not the expert in it, like, for example, I wouldn't pretend to be I do work with trauma patients, but I'm not a certified trauma expert.
Sure.
So I will work with them to my capacity and then refer them out.
Yeah.
So you do the same thing.
1,000%. Yes. Yeah.
Interesting.
I definitely push people to seeking higher levels of therapeutic access. So whatever that looks like for people. But I guess back to the question you said, like, why aren't people automatically coming to like a dating coach? We get to enter the dating scene at 14 years old.
14?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like middle school dating.
Middle school dates and things like that. And we have consistent access to our peers for 8+ hours a day, or at least that's how it was for us. I know a lot of people are doing like homeschooling, like all that Zoom stuff. But for the most part, we were able to show up 5 days a week for 8+ hours and sit with Johnny or Sarah, and we'd have these interactions randomly throughout the whole day, 5 days a week for years.
Sit with your crush.
Talk with your crush. Maybe you get to date your crush, but there's nothing that we need to learn about ourselves in order to do that.
Right.
And then we take that expectation into our adult lives, and it doesn't translate at all. And it's also why it's so difficult, I think, for adult people to make friends, because they learned how to as a kid, but not as an adult. So a lot of adults are lonely. The male loneliness epidemic, for example, men don't know how to plug themselves into community to make friends and connections.
Why? And why don't they want to?
Oh, it's not that they don't want to. They literally don't know how. It wasn't something that was taught when they were kids. They had footballs, they had soccer, they had all these little clubs and little things that they were almost required to do. You're going to school every single day, join these clubs, be with your friends. But once that's over, how do you join clubs and be with your friends as an adult, balancing the fact that you got to not starve to death and make money?
Yeah. And
you're trying to build a family, or if that's your thing. And it's not something that is taught in schools. Hey guys, when you graduate, don't stop making friends.
Yeah.
Like, that is crucial to your human experience.
It has to be intentional, right?
It has to. So joining like adult sports leagues, joining clubs, going to trivia nights at random bars, things like that. Continue making friends. Go jujitsu, things like that. Like, find your people and invest in them.
Yeah.
That's why the male loneliness epidemic exists. I know it's often pointed to men aren't stepping up in relationships with women, and that's why they're lonely. It's like, no, they don't have any friends, so they're stepping into relationships with women. They have no choice, and guess what that translates to? Dating out of desperation.
Yes.
Like, I need this to work out because I don't have anybody else to talk to in my life. And I know countless women who have been on dates who said, I felt like a therapist on that.
Yes. Yes.
Like, all he did was talk about himself. It's like, yes, that's not cute. That's not fun. But guess what? You're probably the first person he's talked to in 4 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
4 months, because nobody's there for him. He's not built a life where he has those relationships built in.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And I think too, I don't know if I can bring this up, but I won't.
Go for it.
Okay. So there's a Facebook app or dating, or what is it called?
It's Facebook dating.
No. The group. Are we dating the same guy?
Yes.
So that you
buckle up.
Right. So yes, are we dating the same guy? I think it's probably like in every city. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, pretty much every major city has it.
So are we dating the same guy in Birmingham, Huntsville? Are we dating the same guy in Nashville, Chattanooga? They break it down within like the general areas. And so I've never really been a part of that group until some of my patients have brought it up.
Okay.
And so you have
male patients
and women.
Okay.
But so now it used to just be women protecting women, right?
That's what the intention was.
Right.
And I was all for that.
Right. Well, now men are on the group. And so I've joined the group.
Wait, men are in
the group, yes.
As men, or are they secret?
As men. And no, they'll ask, okay, single ladies, post your photos so you can be chosen, right? So, okay. The things I've seen within this week, that because I've had a patient say, I found so-and-so on this Facebook page. What do I do? Well, my response is, I think I've told you this, is yes, you're all dating the same guy. Everybody on there, it's a screenshot of their Hinge profile or their Bumble profile, whatever it may be. And a part of, I feel compassion for the female that finds out that 6 other females went on a date with him for the week, because they're commenting all of this. And it's completely anonymous. If you choose to be anonymous, 90% of them stay anonymous. Or I can feel sorry for the man because my latest patient has found, like, they're talking about what they look like. They're talking about anatomy. They're talking like all
So
these
this
things.
has nothing to do with safety. It's all
No,
about
it's
reputation destruction.
bashing. It becomes bashing. And so then I start to feel bad for both parties.
Yeah.
But my answer is, what I want to tell all of them is, yes, you're dating the same person. If you're all in the dating field
Sure.
and you're all finding people within the same area,
And you're
and
going
you all
after
swipe
yes.
right or left, or you click, yeah, you're dating the same guy. Did you all meet on Hinge? Yeah, he's still dating people. Unless you've become exclusive, unless that person has told you, you're mine, I'm yours, I'm off the apps, and you trust that, because a lot of people will say, I'm getting off the apps after this date, and they may not.
Okay.
And they find themselves back on that Facebook page. And some of these people have been on that page numerous times.
Sure.
And there's a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
They do this, they say this, they ask, and then they are only supposed to, their initials.
Sure.
It gets nasty. So you're sitting here saying, like, dating with intentionality, or dating with, dating other people, knowing how to talk. But then there's these Facebook groups that are bashing those people that I think are trying to be genuine. But then you see that they've dated like 7 people in a row. Is that wrong? If they're on a dating app.
Well, I mean, you said it perfectly, which is, you're not in an exclusive relationship,
Right.
and people are supposed to be able to date until that happens. But there is also, I guess, silent expectations where, okay, we've gone on 7 or 8 dates. Something should be happening at this point where we're slowing down dating other people. And when you find out that he canceled on you, or she canceled on you,
Yeah.
because they had a different offer. I'm not going to say better offer, a different offer.
I think
That can definitely hit you really personally.
Right.
So we're talking about, are we dating the same guy? My question was, if a guy is showing up consistently, women are posting, hey, is anybody dating this guy? Is anybody dating this guy? Do you think that has like a negative effect on his reputation? Or do you think it has a positive effect on his reputation? This is an interesting one.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's negative. And the only reason why I say that is because women are mean. I do acknowledge that. And they can say very, very, very mean, harsh things. Listen, but men are mean too. Men can, what are they doing out there dating 7 people?
How dare they?
Well, but also, I mean, women too, but
I'm literally going to say,
if you date over and over again, and you're posted on this public platform,
mm-hmm.
and these women what they are doing is putting the emoji up of the red flag. So, like, if you were on there, BO.
Oh, I am definitely a red flag.
Right. So, well, no. So I'm just giving an example. So what you have to do is you have to type in their initials, and then they say pictures in the comment. So then that's the rules. Like, there are rules you have to follow to be on this page. So they would be BO, pictures in the comments, here's your picture, and then 5 seconds later, you've got about 7 anonymous comments throwing up the red flags. Oh, he did this, he said this, he did the same thing to me. We just went on a date yesterday. And then you've got someone else who says, oh, well, we went on a date Friday. He says he's not dating anyone. So if that's the first time and the only time he's ever been on there, yes, he's on there because he's on a dating app and you're all dating the same guy.
Sure.
If he's on there a month later, he's doing it's a pattern. He's just doing the same things over and over again. If he's on there numerous times, why would that be a positive?
Because it shows that he has access to women, and that is social proof that women find him attractive.
No.
If he is going on dates routinely with women,
well, then women, you don't date him.
Well, here's my question. So say a woman goes on 1 or 2 dates with this guy and then posts him. My question is, does a woman even have a right to post him that early? Because I know for a fact women do that. Hey,
yes.
Is anybody dating this guy? We went on our first date tonight. Just want to see if he's talking to anybody else. Yes.
Yes, he is.
He better be. He needs to be.
But they will now. They're posting before they go on the date. So I'm about to go on this date.
Yeah.
Like, so if it were men doing it to females, EW.
Okay.
Picture, I'm going on a date we matched. I'm going on a date with her tonight. Anything I need to know?
Yeah,
Well,
I went on a date with him exactly a week ago. I haven't heard from him since.
they hate that.
He obviously didn't like you.
Well,
Yeah,
say
here
it.
you are showing up in the comments saying I went on a date. It's an irrelevant comment. And
Why can't he say it? Why can't
can't
he tell her the date didn't go well?
because he's an avoidant, Erica.
And I mean, I get it. And there are women that are doing it too that don't say back, I went on this date. It was a great date, but I'm not going to go on a second date.
No,
But how does that come across? Like, how do
I
you
agree
say
with
it?
you 1000% that guys, if you go on a date with a woman and you're not feeling it, be a man, be an adult. And this is for women too.
Yeah.
If you're not feeling it, be an adult. Say, this isn't the connection that I'm looking for. I appreciate your time, but I'm going to continue my search outside of what you and I just experienced. Good luck. Like, it should be a copy paste text message.
Yeah.
And like, clarity is kindness. There's no need for that. But I think guys also won't do that. One, they don't know how to even communicate what they're feeling. They're like, for some reason, I'm not feeling this connection.
Right.
I'm not emotionally mature enough and aware enough to even identify that statement within myself.
Because a woman will see that though. So if they comment and they say, went on a date with him Thursday, I haven't heard from him in 7 days. Okay. So that a woman's going to see that as ghosting, as being used. They're going to have the rejection feeling. They're going to have the abandonment feeling. And if they've already had all those feelings in the past, they're not going to trust a man at all. And whether this person, male or female, just saw it as, well, it just was a first date and we're not going to go on a second.
Sure.
If one of the parties feels like there was chemistry, somebody deserves to be able to say, we haven't even spoken about a second date. Is there going to be one? Like if we went on a date and you were like, everything was fine, but I'm not going to see you again. And that's up here.
Yeah.
But I'm over here and I went on the date and I was like, oh my gosh, it was great. I think I'll see him again.
You communicate very well.
Yeah. But I'm trained to do that. And
that is almost the point of the question you asked me earlier, which is why aren't people reaching out to dating coaches? And the benefit of it is so they can conduct themselves like ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Because they're just not. Ghosting is happening on both sides. I'm not going to get into
I do.
who's doing it more. It's irrelevant. They're both doing it. We acknowledge that's happening all the time. It's all the time. And the more that we have this illusion of options and what we think is endless options, the less that we feel like we have to commit to things. The less that we think that, hey, maybe I can date 2 or 3 people and they can never find out about each other or for a very long time.
Right.
Then that kind of bleeds into our next topic, which is a little bit of a fear of commitment, in my opinion. I know we can't really go too deeply into opinions, but I wanted to talk to you about definitely a growing relationship dynamic, which is polyamory. That's happening across all different genders. It's happening within marriages or people who are just dating. What are some of the things that you're experiencing? Are you experiencing that type of stuff in your practice?
Yeah.
What are you seeing?
Well,
is it a growing trend? I think it is. Okay.
Yes. It is. It's so big that the American Counseling Association it's going to be a topic that is talked about nationwide.
Like taught.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not taught in how to do it.
Okay.
But taught in how we as providers work with that.
Okay.
So say I have a married couple that comes in and they've been married years.
Sure.
And the sexual attraction has died. Sure. The romance has died, but they still like each other.
Sure.
And there's still love there. They have children. They don't want to divorce because they're still each other's person.
Sure.
However, they're curious as to what's on the outside. And so what we're trying to be trained to do is, I always say, like, I am a therapist. I'm not going to advocate for divorce.
Sure.
But I also have to be trained now to normalize it, because if you're in an abusive relationship or if you're in a miserable marriage, I'm not going to advocate for you to stay, but I'm also not going to advocate run for the hills unless it's abusive.
Sure.
And we need extra help.
As long as it's 2 consenting adults to engage into a dynamic.
If there's harm, if there's harm involved, I'm going to say, let's find a healthy way to get out.
Okay.
But with poly, we've got people coming in single, married, whatever, and they're looking for a healthy way to be in an open relationship.
Okay.
And so sometimes what that looks like, and I know there are going to be opinions with this, and I know there are going to be people that don't agree with it, and that doesn't mean you or I agree with it. This is just a conversation of what is happening, and I think in relationships and marriages,
that's what's happening.
But the rules that come with that, and say you're married, they're very different. So if you're married, you can have the hierarchy, which is the husband and the wife who are legally married.
They do that on.
But you are then allowing your husband to have a girlfriend. You are allowing your wife to have a boyfriend.
Sure.
And you're bringing that into the marriage. But what that looks like is you are having such deep communication. But again, remembering that you two are the hierarchy, but you're allowing the dating to happen in hope that it brings back romance and some sort of relationship back to your hierarchy, to the husband and wife.
Sure.
Now, for some people, whether we want to believe it or not, it is happening, and it is all across the world, and people are doing it, and it is hidden, but it is now more so coming to light because people are curious about it.
Okay.
And I just think that for some people it's working, and for some people it's not, and it ends in divorce. But if you're in just a relationship and you're not married, to me, that's just dating.
Just dating, non-exclusive.
You're just dating around.
Sure.
And if that's
with the understanding, the communicated understanding that that's what we're doing. Because
and you're not
if it's not communicated, it is just cheating. Your partner doesn't know about it. That is the big difference.
Yes, there are rules.
There are rules. So it's so funny that you just said that, because I was watching a street interview with one of my friends. He's wildly successful on social media. He does street interviews. You guys probably seen him. The Desirable Truth is what his YouTube and Instagram, all that stuff is. He'll do these street interviews, and he was interviewing this couple. They had been dating for like 2 years, and they're in an open relationship, and he asks both of them like questions about it, and he says, yeah, she lets me cheat. And she turns around and says, it's not cheating. That's not what we're doing. And I'm like, that is not healthy, that you two are not on the same page. And that is, I can see disaster already.
Yes.
The fact that he is already,
but that word
is like, bro, you've missed the plot completely. Like, that is not what you're in. And now she sees that he thinks it's something totally different. Yes.
He chose that word too, rather than we see other people.
Yep.
And it's still so new. I think that we're actually openly talking about it. So whether people believe in it, whether people absolutely hate it, there are cultures that that's what they do. And that's their norm.
Yeah.
But for especially in the South, it isn't the norm. No. And in the Bible Belt, it is definitely not the norm. But unfortunately or fortunately, it is where some marriages are going.
So this is something that I'm curious about, and why I really wanted you here today.
Mm-hmm.
You being somebody who's educated, being made to really learn this so you can show up and guide your clients. Statistically, when the poly dynamic is being introduced, and say it does, is that the cure-all, or is that the sign that the relationship is going to end? Like, do you know if we're seeing, is there enough data to show that any, like a married couple, once they open their marriage, that I'm going to throw, this is not a stat, but like, hey, 8 out of 10 times it turns into divorce.
Yeah.
That is not a real stat. I'm just
and I don't even know if we know that yet.
Okay.
The real statistics. But what I can say is, and I've told you this before, is most people who go into marriage counseling, someone has a foot out the door, unless they are both willing to work on the marriage. No matter if that means let's open it and try to see if dating someone else makes me want to date you again as my spouse, or if dating someone else shows that I have an attraction
Sure.
to other people, I don't necessarily think that it always will end in divorce if there's an open marriage
Okay.
or an open relationship, especially if there is open communication and you are guided by a marriage and family therapist or sex therapist during that process. On my opinion, you can't do it alone. Because if you do it alone,
Yeah.
you may be this guy who's on the street and like, she lets me cheat on her. Like your therapist would look at you and be like, why did you,
Yeah.
do you feel like you're cheating on
Yeah.
her, or are you trying to work on
permission to
this
cheat? Yeah.
marriage? Yeah. So what we are learning is if people are wanting to open their relationship, whether I say this or not, and you believe it or not, the healthiest way to do that is through a marriage and family therapist or a sex therapist that's going to talk you through, hey guys, why are we choosing this? And if you're choosing it because, we're both curious as to what that would be like for us if we grow further apart, or if it turns us towards each other more. Which sounds so crazy, but in the marriage world, we know certain things in marriage leaves, the butterflies and the oh, I'm so head over heels, and that's a normal part of marriage, and that's a normal part of growing with someone.
Yeah.
But if you get to a place of a sexless marriage,
Sure.
and you are longing for that, but I don't want to leave this person.
Sure.
I love this person.
Sure.
But I wonder what that would be like. Some people act on it and some people don't.
Okay, so then when people are coming to you and they have the idea of opening their marriage, engaging in poly dynamic, do we know like what the sustainability is? Is this a model for sustainability, or is this something to, hey, try it for a couple of months or a year? Maybe that'll help you to like rekindle what it is that you're missing or haven't been investing in. Or are we seeing people who are 50, 60, 70, 80 years old? Are they investing in that? And I asked this because that sounds like I can see why that would be an attractive idea if you are in your physical prime. I can't see 70-year-old people saying, hey, I can't wait to, bring Betty over here.
You know what?
But I could be completely wrong. Just tell.
You are wrong.
Okay.
You are
I
wrong.
was just curious.
You're wrong. I have a couple that are in their 70s.
Okay.
And have been married a long time.
Okay.
And they almost don't even like each other.
Oh.
Anymore. But they're married. And they're not going to change.
They're not breaking their thing.
They're not going to find someone else. However, the idea of being like, you got a girlfriend? All right. She's okay with it. You're coming home to me. She's okay with it.
So but that's a dynamic where they don't even really like each other very much. And when I say like, I mean like they have no desire to romantically rekindle what they've had.
But they like each other enough to stay.
Well, it's comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, separating assets and life at that point is so freaking miserable. So, hey, what we'll do is we'll live a roommate dynamic, live kind of separate romantic lives. Again, that's not a dynamic where they're going to be strengthening their bonds.
Right.
It just allows them to feel fulfilled without having to uproot their life and change things, right?
That is right.
Okay.
And one of the partners comes to me for therapy, and she is miserable in the marriage, but also isn't. So there are times that she gets really sad.
Okay.
Because there are good times in the marriage too, but there are also times in the marriage where it's like I don't really care.
Sounds like marriage.
Yeah, right. There's always this flow of marriage where listen, when you're married, you're not the 18-year-olds or that met and started dating anymore. You're not the 25-year-old that got married anymore.
The honeymoon phase.
You're not the 35-year-old that's been married for 10 years.
Yeah.
Then you have a kid.
Yeah.
Now you're parents, and you're not the married people that didn't have kids. You are forever changing, and you're changing as an individual, and you're changing as a couple always. So whether you choose to care enough if your partner is dating someone or not, that's up to them. And I know I said earlier that this may sound crazy, and I'm going to clarify that.
Okay.
What I want to say is I'm not saying you are crazy for doing that. I'm saying this topic seems crazy that someone would agree with opening your marriage and being a professional and saying that's okay. I'm not even saying that. I'm saying it's your choice
Sure.
of what you do in your marriage, and that there has to be communication and that there has to be guidance from a marriage and family therapist or a sex therapist.
Sure.
Because to do it on your own, maybe that does look like cheating. And then that's a problem.
I because this isn't something that I have studied nearly as much as you have. I feel like personally, from my understanding, that it almost sounds like a last-ditch effort to rekindle, to rebuild, but I cannot see how that could actually bring two people together. And I'll get all this out. I don't see how this can actually strengthen a relationship, a romantic bond, one that's built on respect, that's built on, I almost want to say singularity, in that like the relationship we have is so rare. No one else has this with me. I don't see how introducing other people into a romantic dynamic can strengthen the lacking romantic dynamic that you were saying you would have with your partner. Can you tell me how that can possibly work for the people who are maybe a little bit curious? Like, what's the mindset that people should have when thinking that, hey, maybe I'd like to try a polydynamic and open relationship, open marriage? What advice do you have for them before they maybe even go to their partner and tell them, hey, I'd like to try this? Like, what should they be thinking about first?
Yeah, so I can tell you exactly what it is and why people want to do it. And maybe it is a last ditch effort. But what they're looking for is what we call NRE.
NRE.
Yes,
Okay.
new romantic experience.
Okay. Got it.
And so you felt those butterflies right when you got married. You felt those butterflies right when you were dating. And then now you're 14, 15 years in and you don't feel those anymore. And what they are longing for is that new romantic experience. And so again, I remind them and I tell them, okay, so it's an experience you're looking for. And again, I'm not promoting it. I'm not sitting in a therapy session with married couples and saying, you know what, I think you should open your marriage.
Right.
That isn't how this works. What happens is the couple comes and says, this is what we're thinking. I then go over, hey, is this to help your marriage? Is this to grow your marriage? Is this to learn more about yourself, whether sexually, romantically, emotionally? But what it comes down to is they're looking for that new romantic experience, or we change the R to relationship, new relationship experience, because you've been in the same relationship for years. And some people are like, yeah, I think I miss what the new relationship feels like. And you're never gonna get that back with someone you've been married to for years, because it's not a new relationship.
True.
And it doesn't mean that you're leaving your relationship, but you're gaining a new relationship experience in the marriage. And so that's usually what they're looking for, is that experience.
That newness.
Yes.
So I was doing a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about something that I'm a little jealous about my clients.
Oh, yeah?
Is the fact that they are going to be able to have that experience. And I want that so badly for them, because honestly, I can't think of another human experience that feels as good as the honeymoon phase. Not never had a child, so I don't know what that's like. But in terms of like romance and things like that, that first couple weeks, couple months, three months, the honeymoon phase is so beautiful, so intoxicating, so bonding and binding, that people who once felt that, they're like, why aren't things the way they once were? And it was new. And what I've found is that people need to continually be working on reinventing themselves, investing in themselves, staying new to themselves. Go get a new hobby, go to a new place, go try something different, read different things. You don't have to be the same version today tomorrow.
Right.
You can completely change things. You can do things that you've never done before. Now, sometimes we can be a little afraid to do that in a relationship because we don't want our partner to feel like we're changing for the bad. And I'll give you an example. This actually happened in my previous marriage. I decided to go to the gym. I hadn't gone to the gym in 9 years. Decided to go to the gym. I was there for 3 hours. I killed myself in there, and I got home and my wife said, "Why are you going to the gym?"
Yeah. Every time. Yep.
Why are you doing this thing? Are you like all sorts of things that are supposed to be promotions of self-love?
Yeah.
And if we're not even encouraging our partner to invest into newness of themselves, of course our relationship is going to lose the spark, because like as cool as you think you are, as cool as I think I am, I'm going to be boring eventually.
Yeah.
If I don't continue to evolve.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if the desire for the newness, the NRE, as you said, is because they're actually not taking care of themselves. They're not trying new things with their partner.
Yes.
They're not sitting and strategizing, hey, how can we do something special or unique? How can I keep dating my wife, my husband? How can I keep investing there? Because if you leave it on autopilot, it's going to crash.
Yeah.
And that's kind of something that I see. I have a couple of friends who are in open relationships, and I've asked them, like, describe me what's your relationship like? Like, how do you guys spend your time? When's the last time you did something new and spontaneous? And like, we don't do that. I'm like, I see a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of confirming that's what they're seeking is the NRA, the new relationship or romantic experience.
It's exciting, and that's what they're looking for.
Well, everybody wants something exciting. Nobody wants to read or watch the same movie, read the same book over and over and over.
Right.
So we need to invest in the new chapters of ourselves.
And I think too, if you are with a partner the gym, and when someone starts working out, immediately your partner thinks you're cheating or you're working out for someone else when really you're working out for yourself and to better yourself. I used to get that question all the time. Why do you go kickboxing all the time? And guess what? My kickboxing coach is a male.
Sure.
And so then there were rumors about that. And I was like, wait, just because he's a male and I'm changing like my body and my mind, and how come I'm not allowed to do that without someone looking at me in a negative light?
Sure.
It had nothing to do with the fact of who my boxing coach was. It was all about what I wanted to do for myself.
Yeah.
But I got questions all the time.
That's so interesting because, we always have people watching us, family members, friends, obviously our partners. And when we do something new, it seems like more times than not, it's met with some type of negative scrutiny. When I bought my motorcycle, people are like, oh, he's going through his midlife crisis. I'm like, or maybe I just don't want to be boring.
Yeah.
Maybe I've wanted to do this since I was like 16. I'm finally in a spot I can do that. But people hate change.
Yeah.
Until their relationship hasn't had any, now it's stagnant and they don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Like, well, maybe change was a good thing.
And I want to say, too, that a lot of people in their 20s, or mid-20s, and they're just now getting married. Marriage and family therapy statistics say that you shouldn't really get married until your 30s now, which is, it changes almost every 5 years.
I agree.
I agree with that, too.
Especially for the men.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, especially for the men. Don't get married under the age of 30. You're not relationship ready. You're not.
Yeah, and you could still be dating your potential spouse.
Sure.
But the reason why the statistic is 30 in marriage and family now is because not the prefrontal cortex is fully developed, but you are more successfully developed.
Sure.
And you are more emotionally ready to step into a marriage. You've got a full-time job. You maybe have a house. You've paid for your car. You've done all these things.
Yes.
And then you step into life with someone else.
Right.
So I want to say to the audience or whoever's listening is that in our 30s, I think is where a lot of people start seeing change. And they think that that's not a midlife crisis. That is where
It wasn't a midlife crisis.
What, when you bought a motorcycle? Maybe. Yeah. I don't know about that. But however, if in our 30s, something happens because we're, I'm not going to say we're full grown adults. We are, but we're living our lives and you get to choose to live authentically who you are. And you can start that at 30. You can start that at 40. You can start that. Sure. But in 30 and even in my practice, there is some sort of epidemic that's happening from 30 to 45 right now. And
Which is what?
usually it's relationships ending
Yes.
and someone's finding who they are themselves as an individual. And the reason why is because they usually got married too early and they'd already been married about 12 to 14 years. And now they're in their 30s and they're like, wait, I didn't get to travel the world. I didn't get to become a businesswoman or a businessman. I didn't get to move to where I wanted to truly live.
It's almost like she's talking directly to me about me. Like everything was textbook.
Yes, but then you become 30 and you start life over.
Yeah.
And
31.
Okay, so you start life at 31 and you live your best life.
Yes.
And you continue to start living your best life. So I know we went from open marriage to just life in general, but I think all of that is to say that your choices that you make in life or in a relationship or just who you are as an individual, as long as they're healthy and you're doing what's best for you and your spouse or just you as an individual, that's okay. And I say healthy because it has to be done in a healthy way. It has to be done in a way that is thought through and that there's communication and that you have a support system.
Sure.
And you are doing it to benefit you in some way, not just to have fun. Life can be fun doing other creative outlets.
Sure.
Rather than just saying, I'm married and want to date thousands of people to get that new feeling and that new romance and that new relationship experience. There are other ways to do that. Yeah. It's like a coping skill, or a coping mechanism. People who have a sex addiction, if they're married, but they have a true sex addiction, they're looking to have a coping mechanism. I'm stressed out. I'm depressed. If they find someone else and go do that, well, then they never may want to do it again because they've released that in a different way. But that's not healthy.
Sure.
So that's a coping mechanism and not a healthy coping skill. And whether it, finding a new relationship experience within your marriage is what you're looking for, talk to your partner, talk to your spouse, talk to your professional, and go forward from there.
I like that. And I guess I kind of want to wrap up with this thought and this question to you. Therapy is becoming more and more accepted in society.
Yeah.
Still, men lag behind the acceptance as opposed to women. Women are going to therapy. I think it's almost a 6-to-1 ratio.
Yes.
What would you say to men to kind of encourage them, despite what society might think, to be brave and consider therapy for the first time? What would you say to those guys?
I have a practice of 200 clients and I have 4 male clients.
You have only 4 male clients?
Yes.
Out of 200?
Out of 200.
Okay.
And that's children to a large range of adults.
Sure.
And when I say 4 male clients, I mean men, grown men. So children are they're different because their parents bring them. Some of them don't have a choice. They're coming, but men 4. And so what I would tell men is that if you need help, if you are struggling in a certain area, it is okay to ask for help. It is not a sign of weakness. And I do think most men think if they're asking for help, that there's some sort of sign of weakness there. But I see it as a strength, because if you have a broken bone, you're going to go to the doctor and you're going to get that looked at and you're going to get it fixed. But if something is wrong up here, I don't understand why. Well, I do, because men can't align their heart and their mind sometimes and what they want to do versus what they need to do. And so they won't go to therapy to admit I have a problem. And most times when someone, male or female, if they come into the office, the very first thing that we're going to do is an intake form where I'm looking at your history, and we're going to talk about that. And they don't want to admit what is bringing them to therapy. And that's okay. You don't have to do that on the first session. We're talking, we're building a relationship. I need to be someone that you're going to trust, or the therapist you choose needs to be someone you're going to trust and you want to see for the second time. And I think men need to know they can become the better version. They're not a terrible version of themselves, but they can become a better version of themselves if they are working on themselves.
I completely agree. I think that also one of the reasons that men don't naturally gravitate to therapy is because a lot of them are so outcome oriented through visible action.
Yeah.
Right now we are surrounded by these skyscrapers, and not one of the people like thought and spoke these buildings into existence.
Yeah.
They were built by their hands, by their brawn, and whether they were going through a divorce or having a really bad day, the buildings got built.
Yeah.
And I think that guys think they can just push through their problems. I can just push through
100%.
this mentally. I'm stronger than this, but it comes out, it bleeds out. You can't process the world in a healthy and in a full way when you do have these things that are, keeping you from being super authentic or being pleasant. Like the smallest thing sets you off and you become a risk to society. So I want to make a call to men, a call to action to men, that we have a duty to society to be strong, masculine, stoic, because society is depending on us. And we can build these skyscrapers, we can build the roads, the railroads, we can do all that stuff. But when it comes to our relationships and the way that we build community, if we aren't safe spaces for the women and children around us, or even our brothers around us, like we are that liability. We are the people who show up in the "Are we dating the same guy?" We show up in prisons. We show up on the statistic of male suicide.
Yes.
Literally just happened to one of my friends, or one of my friends and clients. She was dating a guy for a couple of months, and he acknowledged that he wasn't well. He wasn't okay, and he turned a gun on himself just last week. They're doing his funeral today. It happens. And he also thought, I'm not going to ask for help. I'm going to do this on my own. And that's where it winds people. And I really want to encourage men to really consider reflecting and saying, maybe I need guidance with people like Erica Wilson here and other people who you can have that really safe conversation with and kind of talk about and peel back the layers of who you actually are, because you're more than just your body. Eventually your body's going to give out. And you're going to need to be able to rely on yourself to show up consistently mentally. And it, believe it or not, guys, it shows up in all ways. Women pick up on so much about your behavior that you don't even pick up about your behavior. And when they're talking about your inconsistencies or your bad communication, like, this is likely because you've not had therapy. You don't know yourself well enough. And you said it perfectly. Men under the age of 30 aren't really relationship ready. But one way to make yourself really relationship ready is to go to therapy. See what's holding you back. See if you can look at the world with a bit more brightness and color. See if you can show up to your family and to your friends more consistently. So
yeah. Well, and I'll say to the men too that most women find it attractive if you're in therapy, and not because something is wrong with you, but because you are willing to work on yourself to be that better version of a man. And so when a woman finds out, or even if you are talking about, I've been in therapy because of, my past trauma or my past relationship, I think a woman finds that attractive, because if that, more than likely, that woman's already been in therapy too.
Sure.
And if she finds that he's in therapy, she's going to think he's emotionally connected to himself. And they can find that attractive.
They absolutely can. Women can absolutely find it attractive. I will say I have seen women not find it attractive.
Why?
Because he isn't being, I'm going to figure how to say this as delicately as I possibly can. Men don't like to ask for help. And when he does ask for help, it might make him look like he doesn't possess the leadership skills, like he's not already a finished product. And a lot of women want a finished product.
Oh,
like, I think it would be more attractive if he said, I've gone to therapy, not I'm in therapy. Like, you're in it because you're not safe, or you've finished it and now you are. I see what you're saying. I think the more attractive is he's done it. He's done the work. Being done with the work is very attractive, which I'm just going to say is why guys should jump on getting therapy right now.
Yeah.
Right. Like, get in it as quickly as you can. Get to reacquainting with yourself, for sure.
Yeah.
But I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah,
It
I
could
do.
definitely be attractive.
Yeah, and I can see where it's attractive. I mean, I guess yes, for sure, if you've done the work 100%. But I also think, I guess even for me personally, if someone is in therapy or has a behavior, because I think behavior just speaks louder than like their words.
Oh, for
So
yes.
if he has a pattern of negative behaviors and he's never been to therapy or needs to be in therapy,
Right.
then I don't find that attractive at all.
Which you wouldn't see those patterns of negative behaviors until you're in a relationship with him for a while. And you're like, oh, there's a pattern here. I wonder how long he's been doing that.
But if he's willing to go to therapy and then be in therapy while in that relationship,
True.
you see?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking too. Like, yes, if you've done the work because you've noticed where you lack,
Okay.
perfect.
We're talking about while in a relationship.
Yeah. So like if we're in a relationship and you're like, yes, I know that is, I'm working on that. And I'm working on that with a professional.
Sure.
I think that proves to me
And taking it seriously.
Yeah, he notices this is something we need to work on.
I agree.
And he's willing to do it.
Yes,
And I think that is what men need to know.
Yes.
I can work on myself.
Yeah.
And it not be a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength.
It absolutely is. It is like going to the gym. It's making sure that you are able to show up consistently and with strength in all aspects of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In everything.
Yeah. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Well, Erica, I want to thank you so much for joining me on Dating Today. And, I think that the drive up here was worth it.
Absolutely.
We had a little bit of noise in the background, but look at the view. Want to also tell anybody who is in the Birmingham area. Wait, do you do Zoom calls also?
Oh, telehealth and in person, but in Alabama.
Tell them how they can reach out to you.
So my business is the Olive Branch Counseling Center in Alabaster, Alabama. I have a website where you can just look up the Olive Branch Counseling Center, Alabaster, Alabama. And I also have an Instagram page called the Olive Branch Counseling Center because I could not find another tagline that would let me find the Olive Branch Counseling Center. So if you will find me on Instagram or on my website.
Perfect. Well, Erica, thank you so much for joining me today. Everybody, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the section below. If you are in therapy and you have some positive stories about how it's helped you, please also put those in the comment section below. And any other questions, feel free to reach out to me or Erica. All right. You guys have a good day.
Add it up.